Who would have thought, not even a few hours into ownership, the bonnet is already up. What is that noise? Hey guys, it's Joel, welcome back to the channel. It's another week and today we are buying yet another car, but not just any car, as I'm sure you can see from the title. Today is the day that I finally add an L322 Range Rover back to my collection, if you can call it that. It's been over 2 years, I realise, since I've owned an L322, and actually pretty much over 2 years since I've even driven one. They are honestly the best cars in the world. If you've ever owned one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, I've seen a lot of people on YouTube and social media that have recently driven L322s or acquired L322s for the first time, such as Izzy Hammond, in fact, and they immediately become besotted with these Range Rovers. And I've been saying that ever since the start, I think in 2021 when I had my first Range Rover. And so today, yeah, it's a long time coming. I'm finally getting another one, but not just any Range Rover. This is, well, for me, the dream spec. And this was offered to me by a very kind viewer called James. And so today we're travelling up to the East Midlands to collect my new Range Rover. So we have come up to the lovely East Midlands today. I just got the train to East Midlands Parkway and I'm heading to Kegworth specifically, the same Kegworth that's infamous for the BMI disaster that happened, I think, in the late 80s. I've met James, the owner of the Range Rover, and, well, I've bought it. Would you like to see it? Here it is then, my new to me 2002 4.4 litre V8 Range Rover. This one is a Vogue, which means it has heated seats, front and rear, heated steering wheel, amongst a few other niceties. But most importantly, the thing that really caught my attention with this car is, of course, the colour. It's in that stunning hue of giverny green. It's hard to find these in giverny green, and of course my first Range Rover was just like this. It was 2003, but it had the same engine. It was in giverny green, and I love that car. That was certainly the one that got away. Now, for the purists amongst you, there's a few things you'll notice that aren't standard with this car. In fact, the main one probably being the wheels. These are not original wheels for this era of Range Rover. In fact, these are the same wheels that were on my later grey, my 2008 diesel car. We do have general grabber tyres on here though, which makes it look so rugged and cool. The handles are in black, but I would potentially quite like to get these handles in giverny green, or take these covers off and replace the other one, get the mirrors in giverny green, get the wheels back to what the original wheels are, and if I'm being really pernickety, at the back you can see it's got the later, I think 2005 onwards, supercharged, and then the diesels. It's got the later rear tail lights. I actually prefer the look, especially on the original car, of the, I think it's red and orange lights, so maybe I can replace them. Got a tow bar, which I don't think I will probably ever use, certainly with this car, so I might try and take that off. And although it makes it hard to get into the car, it doesn't have side steps, but it does mean the whole look of the car is a bit cleaner. In terms of condition, well, you can see it's a pretty straight car. It's really nice. The tyres are good. There is a lot of lack appeal going on, some here on the roof, and there is quite a lot of lack appeal here on the bonnet. Now, included with the sale was a fresh bonnet in giverny green. However, we did, despite our best efforts, not manage to get it in the back of this. One thing an L322 can't fit in it is an L322 bonnet. Who would have thought it? Believe it or not though, it actually gets even better, because wait until you see the inside of this car. This, again, as well as the colour on the outside, is the colour on the inside that really caught my attention. You ready? Look at this. You ready? We've got cream interior with green piping, green leather dash. I'm not sure how well the car will pick it up. It's quite dirty, and I think this will do with a great clean, but this is a green dash, green carpets, green door cards, and I am excited, but I also think I'm going down with a cold, which is why my voice sounds like this, but I am tremendously excited. Look at it. It's green. Absolutely stunning. The rear seats, as you can see, are in wonderful condition. You can really tell the green piping here. Because it's a Vogue, headline is a little bit saggy, you might want to get that looked at. Because it's a Vogue, it's got rear seat heaters. Now this black plastic trim is not standard, so maybe we can try and replace that. Oh, and I just glanced over it, but as well as the green, it's got the chestnut wood. This, I know my dad, if you're watching, my dad will love this in particular, but I absolutely adore this. To be honest, I actually can't wait to get home and show my wife Katie because, well, she's always pestered me about selling that original green car, and I know that this is her dream car, and so she is going to be so excited when she not only sees the thing pull up and she sees the colour of it, but she sees the interior, because I know this is absolutely her complete perfect spec as well. So maybe this could be Katie's daily driver. I think she'd probably quite like that. Don't hold me to that, Katie. Don't hold me, I haven't decided yet. Of course, we have the iconic split folding tailgate, which all works. Got original rubber mats in the car. That strut looks like it might be on its way out. This one, yeah, it's split here, isn't it? But all seems to be pretty good. Obviously, cream parcel shelf to match. And this was used as a dog car at a certain point, so hence the filth. But actually, I don't mind a bit of filth because it's just an excuse for me to go and visit the guys at iValet and do a proper in-depth clean on this thing. I'm not sure I can wait though. I might have to like give it a little clean myself first, but I don't mind the dirt at all. It's a Range Rover at the end of the day. It's meant to be used. Very quickly, I'll just show you around the front then, because this engine does need to be appreciated. It's the M62, so it's the BMW 4.4 block. Again, the engine I had before. I'm still yet to try out the Jaguar V8 that they did a bit later on. That is meant to be the sweet spot. I would like to try one of them at some point, but this is such a wonderful engine when it's working. Big caveat. When it works, this is wonderful. Such an iconic design in terms of the actual block itself. Makes a wonderful sound. I think it makes around 280 horsepower, so it goes fairly well. And in this particular case, and I don't want to jinx anything, but I've got a lot of wood in there that I can touch. It's dry. It looks pretty dry. The gaskets, can't really see with the camera, but they are dry, and I can't see really any leakage on the belt or anything like that. So for the most part, all looks good. Struts have been replaced on the bonnet as well, so that's nice. It's obviously been looked after, this thing. In the driver's seat then, and well, this thing does feel so special. A few things in here just to touch on. There is a aftermarket Parrot system, which to be honest, I've never ever known how these things work. This steering wheel is from a later car because it's got paddles on it. And of course, there is no such feature to change the gear with paddles on this generation of Range Rover. The only way to do so is to sort of flip it across. And as I'm pleased to say, unlike my first Giverny Green Range Rover, which had a pretty nasty aftermarket unit, this one is original. And so I can keep an eye on, I might need to put the keys in the ignition to get this back on. I can keep an eye on the all important things such as fuel economy. 2 keys as well. I believe it's the more worn one that actually is the primary key. That's normally the way. So yeah, everything comes alive, and yeah, we've got an original head unit, which I'm very happy about. And if we go into, I guess, menu, oh no, this is the menu, onboard computer, I can keep an eye on my fuel economy, which I couldn't do in the last one because there wasn't this unit, and also the pixels down here were dead. But in this car, again, pixels are all good. So a lot of the common things that are problematic with these earlier cars don't seem to be the case right now. Touch wood. As you can see, 125,000 miles on the clock, and if I didn't mention already, I paid £2,000 for this car, which I'm very happy with, considering I paid the same for my old car, which was nowhere near as nice as this. I'm pretty chuffed with that, actually. So big thanks to James for inviting me to buy this car from him. I'm super pleased, and I intend to look after it ever so graciously. Air suspension, of course, is a normal feature with all Range Rovers. Seems to be working. I've just put it in access mode, and we're in access mode with no problems. Got a big wallet of paperwork here, which I'll be honest with you, I've not actually looked through, but I trust there's some information in there which we'll find helpful. I know this car's been looked after. It's just come back from some work to get it through an MOT, and thus it has an MOT for a year. So I don't know what else really there is to say other than let's drive it, because I'm just super excited. Of course, I'll be driving this back down to Surrey this evening, and so I will film parts of that, and of course give you an update when we arrive at home, if we arrive at home. So do stay tuned until the end of the video. And at this point, if you're not subscribed to the channel and you're excited to see more Range Rover content, just take this opportunity now to hit that red button below this video and subscribe, and then you'll know about when another video comes out with this car, because YouTube seems to be all over the place at the moment. I keep getting suggested videos from channels with 3 views that are about Minecraft or something that I'm not really that interested in. It's very odd. So it's even more important now that you do subscribe, so that you are seeing the content you want to see. And if this is it, happy days, I'm glad to have you. Let's do the before Range Rover start checklist. So armrests down, wallet in hand, because inevitably something is going to break every time you drive it. So make sure I've got plenty of cash in there. Let's go for a start. Love how the ignition barrel's down here, a bit like my Saab actually. Here we go. She starts, lovely. And she roars into life. Here we go, put it into drive. Goes in very smoothly. I'm told really by the owner, there is, previous owner now, there's not really any problems with this thing. Gearbox can be a little bit lurchy, says sometimes it goes into transmission fail-safe as well. You hear it, there's a drop link that is knocking, which is exactly the same thing in my old green one, which I never got sorted, but I think in this one I'll endeavour to fix it because it is quite annoying. And these things deserve the maintenance, and if you look after them, they generally look after you, or at least that's been my experience. Bodywork wise, well, the arches have been sort of welded and repaired in terms of rust, which is a very common area, and the underside, the sills probably need a little bit of attention, but it has got an MOT for a year, and it passed with just an advisory on general underbody corrosion. The electronics seem to work, and my initial very quick impressions are it's so smooth. Considering my daily drive is a Cayenne, which is, you know, in the same category as this car, this just is night and day in terms of the ease of drive and the feel of relaxation you get. It's so light to drive, the steering, and if you ignore the knocking, the suspension is so floaty and soft. That is really annoying actually. I will get that sorted before anything else, because that will bother me. And yeah, it's just, I mean, again, L322s, if you haven't driven one or owned one, even better, you need to, because there is a reason why everyone that does so raves about them. I have seen a lot of, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of other YouTubers in the past few years buy cheap Range Rovers and then become obsessed by them. People that potentially wouldn't have ever considered SUVs before, or even liked SUVs. And yes, with this V8 we're up to 40 miles an hour. You probably didn't hear anything, I certainly didn't. I didn't even know we were at the speed limit yet. I mean, it's just so quiet in here, so lovely and cosseting and relaxing to drive. It's a wonderful place to be. This car also doesn't have privacy glass, which I like. That's one less thing for me to have to change. So it looks extremely regal. And yeah, I can see the wind blowing out there, but it's not a noise. I don't really hear it. In terms of issues I've noticed immediately, the sunroof doesn't, if you try and close it automatically, it just reverts to open. So you sort of have to slowly tap the close button until it closes. But if you go a little bit too far, it'll open again. So that's a bit annoying. The steering, if we're going about 35 now, is probably off to the right by 10 degrees or so. There's an odd little vibration at about 35 to 40 miles an hour, just which I'm just noticing. And other than that, not any problems. Just general cleaning could be done in here to make it even nicer, but it's dead smooth. And let's just try manual. So just listen to this gearbox. If we go down into third, 40 miles an hour to 60. Are you ready? Here we go. Ooh. And that's 60 just like that. It makes a wonderful sound, this engine. Absolutely wonderful. And it is definitely faster than my Cayenne. Even though that's 250 horsepower, maybe a little bit lighter than this, this just feels, and I think it is, much quicker. In fact, it would be impossible to be any slower than that Cayenne. It is woefully slow, that thing. So yeah, I wonder where that leaves the Cayenne, to be honest. Do I keep the Cayenne? I think maybe if this turns out to be reliable, I might sell the Cayenne and use this as the new daily drive. I don't really know. Fuel economy wise, it's not going to be too indifferent. The Cayenne struggles to get more than 20, 21 absolute best. And at the moment we've averaged 17 so far, so there's not much in it to tell with that. So listen, I've got a long drive ahead of me now. I've got to go about 130 miles, I think it is, back home, mostly on motorway at higher speeds. So we'll see. But my plan is to end the video once we get home. If we get home, I'm sure we will, but once we get home, it'll be dark, but I'll give you a little bit of a summary and I'll tell you what fuel economy we've averaged and just a little bit more on my first impressions with this Range Rover. So yeah, do stay tuned to the end, and thank you if you're still watching at this point. But I love it. This is the best purchase I think I've made all year, and I'm saying that before the end of the year. It's the 30th of December today, and yeah, this is probably the best purchase I've made all year. I'm so excited to have another L322. Obviously, first thing to do before actually heading down the motorway back towards London is putting some juice in the Range Rover. These things do have a 100 litre tank. So yeah, I'm going to put just over half, and there you go, that's 55 litres we'll go for, 78 quid. And about 80 miles of range. We've been averaging 15 mpg up until this point. I've done about 20 miles so far. Not awful. I think on the run down we'll probably get maybe 20. We'll see, eh? All right, here we go. Let's have a look at this then. So ignition on, and there we go. Range 285. More than enough to get me home. About 140 miles now home. And I'll be monitoring this. Yeah, 15.3 currently. I'll get going so it doesn't get worse. I reckon we can get that up to the low to mid 20s by the time we get home. Let's see. What is that noise? Okay, well, hang on a second. We're no more than 10 minutes into this drive from the petrol station. I'm losing my voice, but I'll just play the clip of it now. There was a really weird vibration above 60 miles an hour, and then worse at 70. Not coming like from the car, but it sounded like the windscreen going like a bumblebee. I thought it might be the wipers, but it's not. And I just wonder if it's this piece of trim here seems to be a little bit loose, but I don't know if that would cause such a vibration. This thing here, see, these are a little bit worse for wear, but I don't think that would cause a major vibration. Classic Range Rover life, eh? I mean, it's just, you couldn't write it, could you? What have we got in here? It sounded like, you know, like when you're a kid, it could be this, no, it can't be that. You know, like when you're a kid and you'd put like, I can't remember what you used to put, like a bottle, like a plastic bottle in between your mudguard and your tyre on your bike, it would make that sort of, it's that sort of noise. I can't see anything obvious in here that's loose, that rattles, apart from the engine, but that's nice and smooth. I'll just rev the car and check it's not the engine that's making the noise. Let's give it a rev. No, that's smooth as anything. Who would have thought? Not even a few hours into ownership, the bonnet is already up. It's really weird because I cannot see anything that would be causing a vibration, but I know that as soon as I get back on the motorway, it's just gonna bloody do it again, isn't it? We're just gonna have to deal with it, I think. Turn the music right up. I don't believe it to be a problem with the car at all, so in terms of safety, I'm not concerned in the slightest. It's just a very odd noise. Right, well, fingers crossed it doesn't do it. I took the car up to 70 earlier when I test drove the car, and it didn't make that noise, so very strange. Right, attempt number 2. As you can see and hear, 20 miles an hour. Got that noise from the drop link, but that's it. There's no vibration noise. It's just when you get above about 55, 60. Anyway, we accelerate back onto the M1. Let's see if it does it. 40. 50, no noise. 55, all good. Let's go for 70 miles an hour. You hear that? What is it?
What could that be, guys? Is that the weather stripping that's a bit loose, that's just rattling? Is that what it is? Because if I go back down to 60 miles an hour, 60, 55, and it's gone pretty much. What an annoying noise. Well, that's another thing to add to the list, I guess. I'm going to crank the music up, try and ignore that as much as possible, and I'll update you a bit later on. This is classic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have made it back, and the parking sensors are playing their tune. There we go. The final results in terms of fuel economy, exactly 20 mpg with an average speed of 61.2. So actually pretty identical to my Cayenne. And yeah, we've used just over a quarter of a tank there, doing about 140 miles. That buzzing noise continued all the way, but I couldn't really hear it with the radio on and stuff. Other than that, it's all been good. I slightly broke the button on my seat down here, the one that adjusts the bolster and lumbar support. I pushed it and it just went in, so I need to fix that. But otherwise, for £2,000, I'm dead happy with this car. And actually, I'm super excited to see it properly in the daylight, because I haven't really yet. So, before I die and lose my voice entirely, thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more content with the Range Rover, make sure to give this video a thumbs up first and foremost, but also subscribe to the channel, because as I mentioned earlier, you probably won't see any more content with it unless you subscribe. And comment below what you'd like me to see me do with it. I'm thinking restoring it back to original as much as I can, getting it cleaned by the guys at iValet, and then maybe some fun road trips. But I think, yeah, this car's gonna stay for a while. So do comment below what you'd like to see, and I'll see you in the next one very, very soon.